Hello folks, you're back with me, caricarzme at caricarzcom, and to our good fortune for this vlog, I'm on a press drive for the new and at the time of filming, still not launched Volvo EX30. So let's see how this pans out. Okay, so we've finally gotten acquainted with the cars that we're going to drive, which is the Volvo EX30. Still new, still not launched, and perhaps that explains why it's still wrapped in a rather interesting camouflage. This is also a first for me, driving press cars that are still camouflage, not launched, and I think the camo still looks pretty good, but overall, first impressions, the EX30 doesn't look so bad if you ask me, and I'm totally digging its all LED headlights and taillights, but that's just the surface. Let's see what it's like on the inside. Okay, I'm going to do my first impressions of the interior of the new Volvo EX30 from the passenger seat perspective first, because my co-driver Mr. Jim Cam from Careline is taking the first driving stint. But the news is all good, ladies and gentlemen, because as expected, Volvo, the cabin is Scandic and minimalist by design, typically Scandic as well, very high in quality compared to its immediate sibling or cousin, if you will, the Smart #1. The build quality immediately feels a lot more upmarket in here. You won't find any hard plastics or body colored plastic panels in the door card. Instead, you get some very nice soft touch vinyl, soft touch plastics here, and some high-end fabrics. In the dash, same case, soft touch vinyls and plastics with a little bit of some very novel looking recycled plastics down here, and it all feels very well built. Now on the driver's side, you will notice that there is actually no instrumentation. So from the driver's eye, there's actually nothing. It's very simple, it's pretty much empty, and that's because all the displays, all the important data is displayed right here in the center portrait oriented touchscreen, which sees top part driver instrument display panel or section. You may have noticed in the door card there is actually no switches, just the very nice minimalist door handle here. That's because in the center you will find the window switches here, plus the door lock and unlock touch panels. And then whilst we're here, down here in the center console, it's large. In fact, Volvo claims that it's large enough for you to fit your typical lady's handbag. I guess that's pretty typical of most EVs because there is an absent transmission here, but otherwise, first impressions of the interior of the EX30 is very good indeed. Now, as you saw, a press drive typically sees the first day being very hectic, and it took me a while before I finally got myself some time alone with the new Volvo EX30, albeit in camouflage still. But there's indeed a lot to talk about, starting with the exterior. Okay, because the Volvo EX30 is still wearing camouflage, I'm going to give you some of my favorite bits that we can actually see from the exterior, starting with the full LED headlights. And I'm totally digging the new square pixel look, and trust me folks, at night this thing looks very nice. The startup animation is quite cool. Down the side you will find some very nice looking two-tone alloy wheels, and these are 19 inches. Through the side profile, the EX30 looks like your typical crossover SUV shape, a bit squared, a bit boxy, but not a deal breaker. Then towards the rear, you'll see that it's quite minimalist, quite sleek. All you'll find here is the Volvo badge for the moment, and a set of very trick LED taillights as well. And just like the headlights, their startup and shutdown sequence is quite cool. Okay, so there's really not much I can tell you because of the camouflage exterior, but the good news is the interior is not camouflage at all. Let me show you what I'm talking about, and let me show you some of the cool bits inside. Okay, moving into the interior, and almost immediately the first thing that will capture most people's minds is that's not a round steering wheel. Yes, in fact it's quite squared, and I think it looks quite nice. But what's interesting to note, despite the fact that the EX30 shares the same bones and underpinnings as the Smart #1, these are two very different cars inside, and it's very clear in the dash and the door inserts, because you will not find any exterior or body colored plastic panels. Instead, you get some very nice soft touch vinyl, soft touch plastics, and this looks like a bit of fabric and plastic here, and the feel and finish is very high quality. I also like one very interesting touch here. Check out the minimalist door opening handle switch. Pretty nice. What's interesting to note, you will find vertical aircon vents, and in the ones in the center flank a portrait oriented touchscreen. Some bad news here, there's no Apple CarPlay in this one yet. Volvo has preempted us about this one. Hopefully this will come soon enough through an over-the-air update. But the good news is this infotainment unit is basically a high-end Android tablet, and it works just just as well as any smartphone would, and it provides you everything you need from navigation to music and streaming playback. What you'll notice down here also is the massive center console storage space. In fact, this is actually a panel that you could open. Underneath you'll find more storage space plus USB-C charge ports. Up here you will find one wireless charging pad, just one, not two, and this wireless charging pad side also doubles up as a spot for you to put your very cool key card to initiate and start the car up. Now what's interesting and very flexible here is actually the center armrest, because as you notice at the door there are no switches apart from the door opening handle. That's because the power window switches are right here in the center, along with some touch sensitive panels to lock and unlock the doors, and right below which stowaway cup holders. So that's pretty neat. In terms of general storage though, it's quite large down here and it stretches all the way back into the rear passenger tunnel, so it's quite neat. Apart from which, I would also like to highlight one very cool way that Volvo hides some additional storage space. There is no traditional glove box here, instead it's right here in the center, and to activate it, well, to pop it open, you just tap on the touchscreen. By the way, another very interesting touch with the interior is the Harman Kardon sound system and how it is actually presented and equipped in the cabin. You'll find it positioned up front in the dash, looking like a one-piece soundbar. So that's actually quite neat, quite cool. Okay, we're still talking about the cabin, and while we're still up front, it's worth highlighting another one of my favorite parts here, which is the new front seat design for the EX30. It's very supportive, it's very luxurious, very comfortable. The luxuriousness stems from the fact that it is wrapped in what I believe to be artificial leather upholstery with a combination of fabric, and typical of Volvo, you will find Swedish flag right here. So there is no mistaking about who designed and made this car. Apart from which, my only other gripe about this car is the fact that from the interior perspective, that it feels a little bit too compact compared to the Smart Hashtag 1, another EV that actually has the same bones with the Swedish badge twin. But otherwise, the only other gripe I have is rear seat space. I had a go in the rear seats earlier. That is the one area where the EX30 really feels a lot more compact than the Hashtag 1 I mentioned earlier, because you won't get as much leg room, but the good news is headroom is still quite okay, and otherwise there's really nothing else to complain. It's a much more luxurious space to be in. It really boils down to what you're looking for in an EV. Should space be a priority? Maybe some will find the EX30 to be a little bit too compact. Okay, let's talk powertrain and performance. And the EX30 I am test driving is specifically the dual motor variant, and frankly speaking, it is actually very peppy. It outputs 428 horsepower and 543 Newton meters of torque, all of which enables this compact EV crossover to sprint from 0 to 100 km/h in just 3.6 seconds. Yes, is that fast? Now, more importantly, it's got quite a sizable battery as well, and it promises up to 476 kilometers of range. Okay, in terms of driving dynamics, I'm going to be very brief. This EX30 shares the same SEA platform base as the Smart Hashtag 1. That would be my most immediate benchmark, and almost immediately the Volvo EX30 drives as how a Volvo should, but in contrast to its Smart Batch cousin or twin I mentioned earlier, this is definitely a much more blunted car. The ride's a little bit firmer, but it's not harsh. It is also certainly a lot more agile, something I discovered whilst driving through the twisties up to Jandabai. But I believe that added agility stems from the fact that this is a slightly smaller, more compact, and perhaps a slightly lighter car to begin with. But otherwise, the long story short, the EX30 drives as how a Volvo EV should, and in contrast to perhaps something like the C40 Recharge, it is a much nicer and more fun car to drive. And that's basically everything I can tell you about the new Volvo EX30 that's about to launch in our market very soon. So stay tuned to our platforms for updates on that. In the meantime, despite the fact that it's still wearing camouflage, I want to know what you think of this compact premium EV crossover from our favorite Swedish mark. Hit the comments below with your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And as always, visit caricarzcom/news for more.